2-kilometre point. You see the red stripe on your screen there. That is just before the climb up the big hill of the day. And the news I have for you is quite exciting, because we have in fact technically on the road a new yellow jersey race leader, and it's none other than Zülle, who was second yesterday in the prologue time trial. What happened was we had a sprint as the riders went along the coast early on today, and there was a bonification, a special sprint with 10 seconds at risk, and Zülle got it, and he's now got a slender lead of some 6 seconds over Miguel Indurain on general classification. But that could all change before the end of the race today, because if Indurain can just prize himself away from Zülle towards the end of this race, then that could happen. Though, of course, these breakaways might change the thing altogether. And we've had certainly lots of activity so far in this race, with breaks coming thick and fast. But I fear that, having had in the last couple of years in the Tour a break on day one, most of the top men now are watching this very closely indeed. And we have this second category climb coming up in front of these riders, the Esquibel. That undoubtedly, I think, has put the lid on most people's aspirations. We're seeing Cipollini here at the front of this bunch. Rather remarkable for him. He normally waits till he gets to the finishing line before he pokes his nose out the front, but he's drifted back into the main field now. Perhaps he's waiting and hoping that we can get this field together for a sprint finish in San Sebastian. They've been through it once already, by the way, today, because once we started off and headed out towards the east coast, so my mistake, the west coast, went out along the west coast and then curled around and came back through San Sebastian, a big curve. This little breakaway group at the moment look like they're going to be pulled in now. Harmeling is there on the front. He's been trying to drive this one forward. It's included in that little breakaway group at the moment, Banyan and de Klerk, but I think their moments are over. They're on the climb now. So they had a maximum lead of 50 seconds, that little group we're looking at now. Kengi Alta was in there, Harmeling, de Klerk and Banyan, but their time at the front is over. They've been reeled in on this climb up towards the top of the second category. So field all together, and they're really motoring at a great rate of knots. Look at the work being put in there on the left-hand side by Bunyo's teammate, because the rider from the Gatorade squad, looking this year to try and win the Tour de France, the world champion, has with him in the Gatorade team the redoubtable Laurent Fignon, and still a lot to go for. At the top of this climb, they will have some 38 kilometres to go towards the finish. So there's not a lot left as far as these rides are concerned, and we might be seeing a sprint finish, making a change from the last couple of years when the breakaway groups caught everybody napping. Still, this climb here, it goes up a distance of some 8 kilometres. That's 5 miles. The time trial they did yesterday is the same sort of distance. Chiappucci there moving up towards the front of this group here. Let's see who's going to try and split the one. Chiappucci moving across. Winner last year of the polka dot jersey, the King of the Mountains, sponsored by Coca-Cola Light, which I suppose is the appropriate thing to do. Of course, that's the special Coca-Cola with less of the caffeine and less of the sugar. And let's see, looking back here, oh, the speed is absolutely shaking now. They've been blasted out the back. People are dropping off. In fact, I hear that Thierry Marie is having just difficulty in holding on to pace. The rider who we tipped as being the man to win the prologue time trial yesterday, if he didn't catch it on Eurosport, it really was a turn up for the books, because Indurain, starting last in the yellow jersey, romped round the course, tremendous burst of speed. Zülle had set the fastest time, then Marie came in within 1 second of him, and we thought that was over and done with AC Bunyo in the middle of this little group here in the World Championship jersey, up just there in front on the left-hand side, the clear rider, and that is Chiappucci. So we've got a nice little tidy group. Alcala moving through at the front as well. So the time trial yesterday, prologue time trial, really caught them, one of the two of them napping when Indurain managed to preserve the yellow jersey. And if you listen to my commentary yesterday, I said I thought that Le Mans was the one who did a good prologue time trial to try and retain his yellow jersey, and that was at Futuroscope. In fact, when I checked the records later on, and my apologies to you experts, it was Thierry Marie who won at Futuroscope, so Greg didn't keep his yellow jersey. And a further inspection of the record book showed that Hinault and Merckx, who else, are the only two that have actually gone out of one tour wearing the yellow jersey, ridden the prologue time trial next day, and then kept the yellow jersey on their shoulders for the next road stage. So normally the prologue is one to separate the riders, so on the general classification, as we progress on the flatter stages, we are splitting them up. But it's always had a bit of excitement and try and preserve the yellow jersey. Not always easy, because many of the winners of the Tour de France, whilst they're good all-round time trialists and mountain climbers, haven't been experts in the prologue time trial. But Merckx and Hino have both done that. Here we go, bit of a break at the back here. By break, I mean they're having difficulty in holding the pace. This hill already sorting them out. That very, very hard time trial yesterday sapped a few people's strengths. It was quite windy, and so many riders were inside 10 minutes. That's over 30 miles an hour. And I think one or two are now beginning to suffer. Of course, this long old tour, 21 stages in all, nearly 4,000 kilometres they're going to cover in the tour this year. So a lot of time for these people we see at the back, who are very often just the domestic, drafted in to ride for their team leaders. Anxious look over his shoulder. No, we can't put Johan Capio there, who already this year won the start of the race, the Gent-Wevelgem, and hang on, it wasn't that one, I'll come back to in a minute, but certainly won the Paris Tours last year. Capio drafting off the back. Always a problem with the big men. They have difficulty holding the pace when little mountain goats at the front start charging away. And what we're seeing now is the splits forming, and this really is going to break this race up so soon. And the big men at the back, we are looking back again, suffering on the way up this climb. So we're not surprised to see some of the big men suffering already. That's Ron Kiefel on a stage in the Tour of Luxembourg recently. And there we are, 96th at 39 seconds. That's on the classification as from yesterday. In fact, he's going rather well in the Tour of Switzerland, up there to the lead of the race, but finally did not win the thing. So Ron Kiefel in to support people like Steve Barr and Phil Anderson back up the front of the race. And they're spread out. Well, I'll check my little book while we're chatting away there. Capio, in fact, won the Het Volk. It was one of those races. In fact, I always remember that, because I've been on the Het Volk enough times in the past, I remember which one it was. Capio, then we saw him drifting off the back. Another super sprinter having difficulty holding this very, very fast pace at the front. Hampson's up there, 1, 2, 3 from the front from Motorola. Well, yesterday I was saying that I thought that Hampson was probably coming into this race a lot stronger than he's done for some time in the past. He's beginning to get some strength together, and he's been lying a bit low, so I think probably this could be one year when he really starts to perform on the tour. And listen to the crowd here urging him up, looking down through the bunch for the yellow jersey. Indurain won't want to lead the charge up here. He'll be sitting comfortably in that crowd, watching them on the way up the climb. It really is breaking up. A little group here is beginning to go away. The little gaps are opening up under pressure. We're getting a bit of a gap on the front, this one, and an attack on the left-hand side. Looks to me as if they're beginning to press the pressure on. Ciccoli going over the top, going up towards the top in the lead. He's getting away. Ciccoli has attacked. The man who won last year's Tour of Italy is on his way up the front of this bunch, just getting about, what, 10, 20 yards lead. Still a long way up towards the climb. And coming across here looks like Luc Leblanc. Leblanc, the French champion, is going across that gap. We're about halfway up this climb, and Leblanc has joined Ciccoli. They're looking back down to see what damage they've done. And they split the field. Ciccoli, Leblanc. Leblanc looks comfortable sitting there in his National Championships jersey. Took the yellow jersey last year in the Tour de France. Rides for the Castorama team, who, by the way, now have got their... Oh, Bunyo's up with them. He came up there just like he got himself an express train, and up he went. So Gianni Bugno now joined the three leaders. Let's see behind. What have they done? Well, the bunch is fairly strung out, and Bugno's gone on the front. Well, that is the first really aggressive move we've seen out of Bugno pretty well all season. He's been rather quiet this year. That stage in the Tour of Switzerland showing that he was coming into form, and now one or two riders coming across the gap. They've recognised the danger. Well, this is quite exciting, because normally on the first few days in the Tour, the big boys watch each other and let some of the rabbits have a bit of a fling at the front. But of course, right now, honour is at stake. Gianni Bugno there, 12 seconds down on general classification from the time trial yesterday, leading this pack up. Looking back down the road, Yes, it is splitting, and certainly far down we're still getting reports of lots of riders being blasted off the back, and so they're really in trouble. Also, bad luck for the Banesto team because Jean-Francois Bernard has crashed. We don't exactly know where he's crashed, but Jean-Francois Bernard has crashed, so that's not going to help the chase from Indurain to try and catch this lot, because Banesto need to marshal their forces and get up there to Bugno, who's chosen the right time to get up with the fellow Italian Ceccoli, and Luc Leblanc sitting on the wheels. The yellow jersey's coming up. The look at Indurain charging across on his own. Absolutely phenomenal. This man has got enormous strength, and Bugno looks back, sees the yellow jersey coming up to him. What a way to respond. Bugno just choosing the moment. He's gone straight across that leading threesome. Well, Hampson is still in there. Let's see who else is in that little group at the moment. Well, we're getting information through Eric Breukink is up there as well. De La Cuevas from the Banesto squad has come with them. Chiappucci is also there. And Stephen Roche. Well, we've got quite a nice little bunch of riders here forming at the front. Confirmation of the numbers in that break coming through. And there they are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It looks like 9. And what a break we got. Luc Leblanc, then Indurain. Right, the camera goes back down just to check that we've got the information correct here. Certainly, Leblanc very carefully, not wasting any effort at all. And yes, I can see Roche on the left-hand side. They've got a tidy break here going on the descent. Well, that is really useful indeed. Well, they've gone over the top, this little group. Chiappucci, then Hampson, then Roche, recovered from his injury in the Tour of Switzerland, or his back gave him trouble. Hampson looking strong on the far side there. Looking back down the slit, so still at the back, and we've got Chiappucci still there. There, oh, it's his Breukink, yes, we've got it right, so Breukink has come up there to join Chiappucci, who's up there with Ceccoli as well. And from Aliostir, just the one I hadn't got so far, just coming up there to join them as well, and that's Massimo Lelli. So, as they go towards the top of this climb, don't go away, we're going to take a short break. Cracking action coming up in just a moment. Left of the main field. Those leaders now, and there goes another ride on the far side. It's one of the Banesto riders, and it's Armand de la Cuevas. Well, originally they'd been picked up as being up in that leading group, but they obviously got that one wrong from the motorcycles, feeding back by the radio. De La Cuevas, who set a cracking time yesterday in the prologue time trial, and we all thought he was going to come out the victor until the big men started to come later on. Sorry about the big picture break up then, but we're moving up to the top of the climb with this group. Let's recap who's here. First of all, it was started then by Ceccoli, who attacked on the bottom of the climb. Luc Leblanc joined him, then Bugno. Right now we've got Indurain with them, Hampson, Roche, Breukink. Chiappucci is there, Lelli also, and that's Pensek as Indurain moves through, just give him a little tap. He wants to get to the front and drive this one. Kravsol here behind for the Z squad is beginning to put the pressure on, because they've got to take Le Monde up to that break, because just about anybody in this race is in that break. I'm rather surprised about the tactics of La Cuevas. He's giving the chasers somebody to aim for, because you see the main field has lost sight of that leading group of riders. And here we are with the leaders now. They've gone round the corner. De La Cuevas coming up. Well, I can understand it, because his team leader in the yellow there, Indurain, may well need some assistance to try and pull back those vital 6 seconds that now separate him from keeping that yellow jersey from young Alex Zülle, who, as I said earlier, got the 10-second bonus in the sprint early on this morning and has put himself technically in yellow, but it's a long way to go yet, because they're not to the top of this climb, which when they get there they will have come something like about well, less than 40 kilometers to the finish. So that's something like 25 miles from the finish, and De La Cuevas is eating into that gap. The rider who's got a Spanish-sounding name, in fact, on his father's side, there's some Spanish blood in the family, and De La Cuevas, who surprised everybody last year by winning the French championships, and he's gone faster and better ever since, riding with the Spanish team Banesto. Not seen much of Delgado. He looked a bit puffed yesterday. He's not in the front of this little squad either, but it's still the Z team beginning to move forward. to put the pressure on. On the left-hand side, you see that there's going to be no chase from Alcala because he's got breaking up in that leading group. Nor will the GBMG boys start to chase either because Cipollini's got across there. Look at the pressure from Zeds. Some very good climbers in this team. Thierry Cravelet, previous King of the Mountains in the Tour de France. Bruno Cronelet, Atli Kravsol. And of course, Jean-Jerome Simon has already set the tongues wagging with some of his fantastic rides this year, winning a stage in the Tour of Switzerland. So they're driving, the Zeds are driving to catch up. And Pensek's blown. The RMO rider now just can't hold the pace. So no wonder Indurain just tapped the side of him and said, come on, let me go through. Odd arrangement last year, of course. Then we see the Basque flag flying on the left-hand side. Let's hope there's no more terrorism. As I mentioned yesterday, if you haven't caught up with it, my good friend Phil Liggett's car got burnt in the hotel 20 kilometres north of San Sebastian down a half ago. And Phil on his 20th Tour de France, which, interesting enough, in 1973 was won by Louis Ocana, the rider from Spain. And now we've got a Spanish rider in the yellow jersey right down here in the heart of the Basque country. Although, of course, Indurain comes from Navarra, which is a Basque part of the world. Pensek, there you are, that little graph there, well, the graphic showing 124th overall. That's a result of the time trial yesterday. He was one of those riders in that leading group a couple of years ago when 4 men got clear, including Chiappucci, Pensek, Bauer and Marson. Stolen Martin, everybody else. Roche is at the front driving this one. In fact, he's beginning to pull them away even further. Stephen looking in extremely good form now. And let's hope he can hang on to it right the way through this Tour de France. Well, had more than his fair share of injuries, Stephen, but he's looking strong at the front. And in fact, with Carrera, we've got 2 men in there at the moment, because Chiappucci is there, last year's winner of the King of the Mountains. So I think Chiappucci looking for some useful points. There, Kravsol with the radio telephone system. He's got a little plug in his ear so he can listen to the team manager back in the car, and he can speak back to him as well on the road. All these new lightweight ideas. In fact, Motorola have been trying to get a little loudspeaker on the handlebar stem to talk back to the following car rather than have it flapping around in front of your mouth and the wind getting onto you. There, Charlie Motte beginning to attack now that Pensek from the RMO team has drifted out from that leading group. It gives him a chance to try and get up there and join those leaders. Charlie, who finished 4th last year in the Tour de France, can't allow too much daylight to start to appear between himself, Bugno and Indurain. So he's got to try and lay down some sort of order in this race already. Charlie's got to go and show him that he's a man to be concerned about making sure that the gap doesn't get too good. Charlie, excellent mountain climber. There he goes. Bye-bye, boy. Come on, Pensek, on the back. And is he going to sit in? Alcala not doing any of the chasing because he just drifted off. Sean Kelly was driving up there as well with that little group, the sort of Festina colours. So Sean is trying to get up to join this group. Look at Indurain. So calm, collected. You'd think he was on a Sunday bike ride. And there, Ceccoli, who started it all, just sitting towards the back of this little field. I think he's going to let the rest do the driving now. One of the Aristeers, Lely right at the back of that group, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. A bit like the 10 green bottles, one by one, they've been falling off. What a cracking bunch. The who's who of this race this year is up there. Delgado not with it, but of course with Indurain there, he's not going to do anything to try and pull this one back. And still, that one lone attempt by De La Cuevas to join them. And the pressure coming on from behind. And it really has broken up. This one is falling to pieces, left, right and centre. Cravelet driving hard as well. Looking up the field. The pressure is absolutely on now. Just looking at Lian Serrebuta of the class team, very good climber indeed. Making it look easy, but he's not going to drive this one any faster. He's quite happy to sit in there. And there we have the little leading group. Indurain on Roche's wheel. Roche has been the one at the front all the way up. Stephen Roche, winner of the back-to-back Tour of Italy, Tour of France and the World Championship, as did Eddie Merckx. Really searching for that elusive form that has been giving him trouble ever since he's had knee troubles, back troubles, you name it. Stephen Roche has had it, but he's looking much fitter now, lost a lot of weight. He looked very thin in the cheeks at the start of this race. Stephen's inclined to get a little bit podgy when he stops racing with a lot of fire, but now he's looking very fit. Another man who's lost a lot of weight, Bontempi has shed quite a bit of weight, winning a couple of stages in the Tour of Italy. I think probably helped him that. A very hot race that was too. And the order changes. Whoops, an attack is coming on. In a split, there we are, right at the top of the second category. Points at stake for the King of the Mountains. An attacker, they've gone under that banner. The field has begun to split at the top of this climb. Le Mans still chasing. It's broken up. There's Bugnot, Breukink, LeBlanc. And still at the back, Lely from the Adios Steer team. Now, they have those two escape. Well, here's the group. That's not a lot. It's still around about 10-15 seconds maximum for this main pack. It seems to have regrouped itself. Further down the hill, there were some more gaps opening up, but still the troubles of people like Jean-Francois Bernard, who crashed down below, are not going to help him on this one. Thierry Marie certainly didn't look like he'd regained it there. He was another one, as I mentioned earlier, was struggling on the bottom of the climb. But still, Castorama got Luc Leblanc in this one anyway. Well, they really are motoring now. Well, Lely, who's probably the lesser of the lights in this breakaway group, not contributing at all. The two men down the road, still on their own. There is Andy Hampson, looking very strong, riding very, very well indeed. On Luc Leblanc's wheel, wearing the jersey of the national champion of France. That was a cracking ride he did. He really steamed off on the last of the 17 laps in the French Championship and pulled back his teammate Gerard Rouy, who was beginning to tire a bit at the time. There they are, dropping down on this figure-of-8 course they've taken today. A big first circuit brought them back into San Sebastian, and if you just switched on, and let me tell you, by the time they finished, they'll cover 194 kilometres today in this race, and the field now descending off the top of the Jaisquibel, a well-known hill which also appears on the Classic San Sebastian, an event which we'll be covering on Eurosport for the World Cup Series. When the Tour de France is over and done with, it starts off again. Amaya Rada easing himself onto the front of this one, pulling them all together. The green jersey in now, just spotted Zuller. He's wearing green jersey because although he was second yesterday in the time trial, the time trial result when Indurain won that time trial meant that Indurain technically got the yellow jersey, took the green jersey as well, so they passed down the green jersey to the second man on classification. So if you spot a man in the green jersey, that's Alex Zuller, the young rider from Switzerland, wearing the green jersey. We're back up then with the leaders, rocketing down here. And the road well and truly decorated with the names of Indurain. Tremendous support out here. The Spaniards, particularly Basque, very much into cycling, and got a great shame that Lajareta from the Once team was not here to help Zuller, because Zuller rides for Once team, and I think he could have done with his technical ability in his main field. Of course, Lajareta having crashed. Oops! Oh, he's gone! Lely's gone straight out. Oh, he's lost that one. And he nearly went over the top. Oh, my goodness, that was heart-stopping. He's got to get out the saddle and chase him now. He hasn't been doing a lot of work, so perhaps he can get back again. We'll have to wait and find out, because we're going to take a short break. Come back to us in just a couple of minutes. Well, after a hairy descent, the group, as we saw, were closed down by that chasing bunch of riders, and from that main pack, what's left here, there's only about 70 in fact at the front. We've now got a breakaway group of 3 men heading in towards the finish in San Sebastian. Just looking now at Pascolino for the RMO squad, moving through. The rider from the Italian team, Alberto Elli, not Lely, by the way, that drifted into the bushes. This is Elli, Alberto Elli, and behind him for the Castorama squad, Dominique Arnaud. And there we are then with the 20 kilometres to go. They've just gone through that sprint point for the PMU. That is the same people that sponsored this sprint section in the race last year. They get points as they go under there for the prizes, and PMU is the equivalent in France of the tote. You don't have sort of bookies like we have back in Britain on the high streets. They have to go down into your local cafe. You'll find a little PMU there. If you're going past, you wonder what it is. Signed there, and in the corner you'll find a little cubicle where they sell the tickets for the horse racing and so on, and that's where it is, PMU. Here we are then, so Castorama, Cyril Guimard moving up to have a little word with his man. Must be rather pleased with the setup right now, which has got Castorama sponsorship again for another couple of years. And there we are, that's the leaderboard. Let's have a look at that one. So at 1 minute and 22 seconds for these three leaders, this is critical for everybody else, because the yellow jersey could go on the shoulder of the best placed rider in this field. And at the moment, that is Dominic Arnoux. So whilst Castorama team might be a bit upset with the thought that Luc Leblanc, who's been hovering around trying to pinch the yellow jersey, might now lose it to Dominic Arnoux if they can keep this sort of lead to the finish. Arnoux, best placed on classification following that time trial yesterday, is in this little group now. I wonder if he's going to drive the thing along a bit. And let's see. Oh, here comes the main field then. That gap is coming down. It's a lot less than 1 minute and 22 seconds. And let's see who's doing the driving on the front. Yes, it's the Onsay team. And the pink jerseys are Onsay, like Pink Panthers, then trying to pull back that leading group. And here they are. Dominic Arnoux on the front now then, letting Alberto Elli come through. Elli is 28-year-old. He's one of the domestiques of the Ariel Steer team and finished 91st last year in the Tour de France, 72nd year before that. And really his best performance, I suppose, was second in the Championship of Italy in 1987. Very seasoned, experienced rider. One of these gang of the mafioso, I think. Excuse that, I'm going to use that term really in the jocular sort of way, because Ariel Steer have been pinching all sorts of things in the race this year, and of course in the season this year, and last year they were popping up and collecting stages all over the place. So let's say they're trying to get another one already, as we're looking at Pascal Lino, very tall lad. Much better as a pursuiter, by the way, because he has been pursuit champion as an amateur of France, and a very long, tall, thin rider. Pretty typical pursuit rider's build. Dominic Arnoux going through is at the other end of the scale. He's in fact a great cyclo-cross rider, French champion, not only for the normal riders, but those who've been enlisted into the army as well, because some of them get press ganged in, and he's been champion of France at cyclo-cross, and twice he's been second in the French cyclo-cross champion. There we are. They were green and yellow together. Spotted them, and you've had opportunity of seeing these two riders, and those jerseys could change, in fact, because there's Zilla in the distance in the green jersey. Could well, if this lot sticks together and catches these three, he could well keep that jersey, but a hell of a gap now, 1 minute and 20 odd seconds the last time we heard, and they're on this little climb before they wish down in towards the finish. So this one here at the Col d'Alto del Gruzza is quite a stiff little leg breaker, only a fourth category one, but it's going to enable, I think, the Onsay team to really charge after these leading three. Are working quite well together, but they're all domestiques. They're not normally in such a position at the front. And Albert Bouvet, director of the course here, the grand old man of the organisation, the Société de Tour de France, just checking the distance details towards the finish. And like seeing that other car, looks like Bernard Hinault, who's the technical man looking after the needs and helping the organisation in what the riders really want. Well, let's say what the riders want is a trouble-free ride when they get in their trains and all the vehicles start heading up north through Paris, through towards Paris, where we have a little break actually, because after the stage from Limbourne, the team time trial on the 8th of July, we then have to go right the way to north of Paris, and with all the problems of the shortage of petrol and lorries still blocking the roads, I wonder if the Tour de France will ever get back much north of Bordeaux. We'll have to wait and see. Elli, without the L. Alberto Elli on the front. Tall, slim figure of Pascal Lino behind him. And then Dominic Arnoux. What a combination. One Italian, much a domestique. One Frenchman, who's very much a pursuiter. And one Frenchman who's very much a cyclo-cross rider. RMO team cars come up to have a little bit of chat to them. And come on, he's saying, get a move on, because certainly he's got the speed, this lad. And I think there that Director Sportif Jacques Michaud has said to Pascal Lino, drive the thing on, even though Dominic Arnoux is the best placed one. You've got every chance of keeping that gap that you've managed to get between yourself and the chasing field. And I think that's significant that some of the top team managers have come up, and there, Elli's hand's gone up. Is he going to talk to his team manager, or has he got a problem? And as he does go, Dominic Arnoux starts to put a bit of pressure on the front, and the other two at the back now There we are. The RSR team manager's just come up to have a chat to him, and Lino's sitting behind the wheel, and Arno's chosen the opportunity to nip down the road. I don't think he's going to stay away, though, surely, because that will only weaken his efforts. We've still got a long way to go towards the finish. That big bunch is hammering along under the pressure from the Onsei team. And still, oh, they got back together again. I'm not surprised about that. But it's disrupted the activity. These three lads have got to concentrate and just get the string going, sitting close on the wheel, changing over, short bursts on the front. They can't afford to break the rhythm because that main pack behind just won't be hanging about at all. They'll be really working hard to try and pull this little group back at the front. And so whilst the interviews are going on, and we've got the yellow car behind, that's the neutral service from Mavic. I wonder whether the team cars will stay there or drift back to see what their top men are doing. So back on the front, and Dominic Arnaud letting Ellie come through. Now about time for another change. Come on, Ellie, you've done your bit. That's right. Lino on the front. Oh, that's disrupted the game. So Cyril Gilmore say, get rid of all the extra rubbish, Sunshine. He was a lighten the load, taking his racing cape off him. So he's missed a turn then, which means Ellie had to go back in again. And you need that little bit of rest. When you've got three men, the man on the front, he's quite tall, this fellow, Pascal Lino, quite useful sheltering those behind him. So let's see if they can get this act together. They've got sufficient lead. It's coming down now. It's somewhere around about a minute, last thing we heard. And they should be able to preserve that, but they can't afford to have that lack, because it's not like team time trialing. Everybody's just got to follow the wheel and drive at the maximum revs when you go on the front without splitting it up. And as soon as you've done your bit on the front, just drift back and drop in. Now there is a nice pursuiter's style. Typical tall, slim figure. Not done much as a pro as a pursuiter, but certainly as a young amateur, that's been his forte. Quite a useful little pro as well since he turned. Young Lino, second place in a stage of Midi Libre last year. So the 28-year-old Italian taking over. Oh, yes, still driving this one along at the front is the pink jerseys of the Onsei team. And there is a man they're protecting. So really good hard work being done by Onsei then, because they know they've got they're not normally a team that would drive along like this, but here they are with the chance of taking over that yellow jersey in Spain. Onsei being a Spanish-sponsored team, and without their man Recarreta, who's ridden something like 11 tours of Spain. He rode something like 8 tours of Italy and 7 Tours de France. 15 kilometres to go. Well, it certainly is less than a minute according to my rough calculations, and even Zulla's going on the front to pull this one along. What a brilliant ride then by Alex Zulla, who surprised everybody by his performances this year. And we're back up with the leaders. So how's they going? Let's look back at Zulla, by the way, because as an amateur he won the Grand Prix William Tell, and that's a great race to win in Switzerland. And in 1990, before he thought about turning pro, he had 5 wins, including a couple of stages on the overall Tour of East Switzerland. And he then went and rode with the Mavic Amateur Club, and actually Hodge once rode for the same club as well. So I think Hodge put a good word in for him. And he's got a Dutch mother, actually, so he's a bit of a combination of different nationalities, young Alex Zulla, but he's really burst upon the scene as a pro now, because he got second in the Tour of Sicily when he won a stage there as well. Second overall, won a stage in that one. That surprised quite a few people. And at one time he only had a handful of FIC points, but he's been rocketing along now. Came in last year as one of those debutant pros. At the back end of the year, amateurs can ride as pros, see if they like it, and he took a 3rd place in the Tour of Catalonia. So Zulla at the back has surprised a lot of people, and these 3 in the front might well ruin his chances of taking the yellow jersey. Driving on here from Ellie. Coming through is the rider from the Castroma squad, Dominic Arnaud, and right behind him still Pascal Lino. So perhaps the moment of glory that was expected. There we are, still 1 minute and 2. It's been hovering, it went under 1 minute, it's gone back to that now. Although it was at one time 1.5 minutes. rather damp conditions, good for oxygen, but a bit heavy in the atmosphere because there's been some lovely sunshine in this neck of the woods. I know that further north up in England and in France it's been bucketing it down. It's been very bad weather as well at the Formula One Grand Prix circuit, and a little bit of dampness down here too. Look, still on the front then, the Onsei team driving this one through. Stephen Hodge going through, working very hard, and Castorama and the Aliastier beginning to infiltrate and just hang back. What they do is they're leaving Onsei to do all the work, and they won't actually help nor hinder it, but they just poise there. So if any of these four now slow the thing down, they will do likewise and won't aid it. There are another view of him. Actually, the article I read about this fella said they call him the Heron with his long, thin legs. Look at him. Great big deep chest on him too, Zilla. Right, a bit of Ray Booty in years gone by, the great English time trialer. So Ray was about 6'4", and he had long, see with the glasses, that's the Ray Booty image that's reminded me of the great Ray. Of course, Ray was an enormous time trialer. Look at him gasping air in. Getting close in towards San Sebastian with this little group, and it's coming down to 54 seconds. Still then, the technical race leader on the road is Dominic Arnaud. These three searching for glory. And this is a bunch still, Onsei driving this one along. Onsei, an institution for the blind in Spain. They use it to publicise what they do in terms of the offers they have to the public. They run all sorts of ways in which they get funds for the blind, and one of the things they then do is to promote themselves through the racing team they've got. And they look, these three lads on the front, to be tiring quite considerably. Let's look back down the road. That has got to be still just round about the minute, and there's what's left of the pack. There is another group further back down the road. There's only about 60 or 70 riders there, so we've got another gap of about a minute and a half, I'd have thought, to what's left of the main field. Started out 198 riders, 22 teams of 9 men in each, and we're getting just this hardcore of strong men at the front, following a very, very tough day. I think there'll be some tired legs tomorrow when we take on that stage over the Mari Blanc, and they can still see the pink jerseys on the front. Well, they'll be going mad down at the finish, because here, San Sebastian, the northern end of France, part of the Basque territory, but nevertheless the Onsei team from Spain, and a man in the yellow jersey from Spain as well. So Spain really enjoying the tour this year. And the Castorama squad, something like 23 victories they've had this year. And this is Dominic Arnaud, the young rider, just some 22 years of age. He rode the Tour de France last year, Dominic Arnaud, finished 68th actually in 1991, so he's no stranger to the tour. But of course, these young riders, 21, 22, is looked upon as being a fairly young age to put yourself under pressure in the Tour de France. And here he is now, looking for a stage victory, and the other two doing likewise. But I think that Ellie is finding the pace just that little bit too much. Has he got back? No, he's getting back. And the gap is still coming down from behind. The main field are charging up this one, and the information coming in, the gap is coming down. And look at Dominic Arnaud, he's just lost his rhythm. Lino's got to go through for RMO, and no, Ellie can't do. Yes, 50 seconds. It has come down at the bottom there. The big pack is beginning to try and pull them down. There's that other bunch behind them. So we've got an interesting race towards the finish in San Sebastian. Sean Kelly down there as well, looking down at the Panasonics hovering there. They're trying sure to get Ludwig in contention for the sprint. And look at Indurain in the midst of that little pack. He's just keeping his eye on the Onsei, who are down to just 2 men at the front. One only helping Zuller, the other two have blown a gasket. The gap's coming down, and there they are. They can see them in the distance. Usually, and time trialists know this, you know, the minute intervals that you start the time trials, you know what sort of distance you can see down a straight road. And certainly those riders now are well less than 50 seconds on this little climb. It's sorting them out. Ellie determined to try and hang on in there, but he's not contributing at all, so it's just down to Lino and Arnaud. 10 kilometres from the finish. just some 6 miles left for these three riders. And that's just about, I suppose, there's a gap. They've got to be caught at the rate about 5 seconds per kilometre. If it's less than 50, they came over the top. So it's still possible that they could get caught, but they've still got that chance of winning the stage. That gives you a little extra life in your legs. But they look a bit heavy, all these three, to me. It has been a tough old day. The attacks have been going thick and fast. And look at Zilla! What a way to try and defend your technical yellow jersey for young riders to get on the front. And there at the back behind him, Indurain is watching his man, waiting to see if he'll crack, and will swoop past him if he does just do that. But Zilla having to now pull the rest of the peloton up behind him. This is a remarkable performance by the young lad who is now, some 22 years of age, born on the 4th of June 1966. So my Brisbane correct, that makes him 22 and a bit. And there he is. Oh, one of his teammates had come back up to him now. See Castorama behind, trying to slow the thing, well, not assist in the chase at all. And, so one of the RMO riders, look a bit like Motti, nipped quickly toward the front. Perhaps he's going to do what he can to just sit behind those two on-sea men and just keep an eye on the pace. Looking down that road, I say 5 seconds per kilometre. They've got to pull back this bunch here on that leading three groups of riders, and still the hard work being done by what's left of the on-sea team. Remember, they've got 9 men in the team, and so just for these two here, they've obviously shattered the rest of the riders. And the field here, Argentan moving up, looking good at the moment. Still these riders, the gap still coming down, but hanging on in with a desperate chance of winning this stage. Well, the flatter part helping them now. Well, what's Charlie going to do? Nipping into there. Well, Zilla's gone back, leaving just one of his teammates on the front. That's a dangerous move. Where else are the rest of these pink jerseys? I'm looking down in this little lot now. That's Telecom down there, the pink and black one. Amon is always rather blurred, by the way. If you say, why the hell can't... There was the spotty one down there. Why can't he pick him up? We don't have the best of equipment, we commentators. Don't always work in the best of conditions either, I can tell you. But certainly down there, on a bit disorganised. And that could cost Zilla the chance of taking the jersey. And also, though, it's rather interesting that the Banestos haven't done anything to try and pull this little gap back, because I'd have thought that if there's a fair old lump of time between these three, then Indurain is going to find himself even further back. And Castorama have got a strong team. If they can get the yellow jersey, they stand a chance of keeping it, as do Adiostea and RMO as well. So any of these three teams, if they manage to get one of these lads there with sufficient lead time to snaffle back that yellow jersey off Indurain, then they can defend it very strongly indeed tomorrow. RMO known as a good climbing team as well. Argentan's squad, the Ariosteas, are competent all-rounders, and Castorama too. So back then with the chase. Banesto beginning to hover a man up. I thought perhaps they might be inclined to help with the chase, because they're probably happier to try and sort out the Onse team than they are to have the other ones riding, because Onse will have a very tough day today to try and pull back the little group there. We're looking at Enrique Alonso of the Festina team, Sean Kelly's team, just a little bit back off the front. So the fair number of Spaniards beginning to move into the front of this one. Are they assisting, or are they just taking it easy? Well, the rest of this lot are saying, let them get on with it. Museo sitting in the middle of the pack, getting quite a comfortable ride, because if this thing does get pulled back, he's going to hope for a bit of a sprint alongside Abdul Jafarov and also alongside Ludwig. But I didn't see what the... Oh, it's 30 seconds now, the gap, 30 seconds. So certainly of the big sprinters, Museo's got over the top of that climb. So we're just some 30 seconds to go between this little threesome at the front and the main pack behind. They've eaten into that deficit very quickly indeed, the big bunch. And they'll be well and truly in sight, so all the following vehicles. That's right, they've moved the team cars out now, and you see just the Mavic one over there. I think they'll probably drop that back as well if the gap comes down. That'll give a sure indication that the main pack's got them inside. They're moving some of the motorcyclists out as well so that the field can see where the three men are. Just the one commissaire's car behind them to make sure none of the motorcyclists get in the way and give any shelter. Press Cameron trying to get some good pictures of this rather interesting break, but unlike in previous years where we've had a breakaway of sort of unknowns in inverted commas who've gained substantial time on the rest of the field, we've now got about 60 or 70 men very closely poised behind them. So I think the problems of the last couple of years when virtually unknowns have drifted, although last year, saying that unknown, the breakaway group included Kelly, Alcala, Abdul Jafar, Sorensen, Breukink and Le Mans. I mean, they were good people, but they were allowed some freedom, which took Sorensen into the yellow jersey when his team did well in the team time trial. With 5 kilometres to go, just on 3 miles left as far as these riders are concerned. It's still touch and go, and there's still a fair chance they can do it. Ellie's managed to contribute. Oh, look at Sulla on the front again. He is magic, this fella, but he's certainly going to have to pay for this tomorrow. There are 5, it's come down, it's got to be less than 30 seconds, and Sulla is doing a great ride here. Not ideal conditions for a man wearing glasses. We've had all these damp conditions here today, and the sweat will be pouring down his brow, but he's working hard at this one. And look at the face here of Ellie. He's certainly trying extremely hard too. Lino looks remarkably comfortable. And they rely upon him. This flat run in towards the finish will suit his speed ability now. Sitting rather lowish in the saddle, long, tall fellow that he is. And what's the gap? They're about 17 seconds. I said when I looked back down with that 5 kilometres to go that it was less than 30. It's down, given us as officially as 17. And the pink train is back in action again. And Zulla's got some help. I can see some more of his riders coming up, so they've got their second win just at the time when they rightfully needed to get some assistance, and so he's got them up there now as Laurent Jalabert eases off the front. Jalabert, the Frenchman, has just had his little burst on the banjo at the front of that group for the Once team, which consists of Hermanio Diaz-Zabala, Xavier Aldanondo, Stephen Hodge, Laurent Jalabert, Philippe Louvio, Martinez in there as well, Neil Stevens from Australia, Johnny Welts, the Danish rider, and Alex Zuller from Switzerland. So Once this year having quite a League of Nations. They've got a couple of Australians in there, they've got one from France, a couple of Spanish riders, and the Swiss lad in the green, also battling in there at the moment, the Danish rider, Johnny Welts. So they've got a nice League of Nations as far as Once is concerned. Manuel Sainz is the team director, and these are the 3 they're chasing down. Ellie pushing quite a big gear. Well, we've seen this sort of thing happen before when getting close to the finish as we are now, and the main field has got the breakaway in sight. There's often a bit of an easing back, and just with 3 kilometres to go, these 3 riders tantalising just out in front. A bit like the greyhounds going after the rabbit round the greyhound track. They can just see them. I don't know if they're going to catch them, but there we are. And Dominicano begins to put the pressure on these 2 without the saddle. I thought it was rather strange. I know that they look like they're going to get caught any moment now, but I'm sure he would have wanted to ride with their assistance, running up alongside the edge of the bay. Beautiful part of the world, this one, San Sebastian, where we had a finish of the Tour way back in 1949 when Louis Caput won it, so we only had one finish here, the Tour in the past. So here we are then, so 43 years later on, who's going to get this stage this time? Which one of those 3 at the moment? Caput having won that stage ahead of Ockers, Petsy, de Mulder and Dupont. And 12th place was the great Louis Bobet, who actually then went and abandoned on the next stage from San Sebastian to Pau. Rather similar one we're doing tomorrow. There they are. Sorry about any picture breakups on your screen back at home. Always have these little problems from time to time with the picture banging its way up from the motorcycle to the helicopter. Beautiful San Sebastian then, which really has been the capital province of Guipúzcoa since 1854. Has very much been known as the great place to go for the sea. and certainly in the Victorian times. He's away. He's not going to have time to go building sandcastles. He's decided that's it, I'm off. And so Dominic Arnaud has thrown down the gauntlet. The Castorama rider has left the other two, and the big pack I can see in the distance. Well, that's a very useful move indeed if he hasn't burned himself out with that sudden surge. If he can keep this up, because the pack will see the two men in front, they'll go and snaffle them up, I should think. And let's have a look back down there, the camera bouncing around the back of the motorbikes. They look like they're about to catch the other two, and this man now swinging round using every inch of the road. He threw cautions to the wind then to try and get this success, and there he is then. Oh, looking down the finishing straight, our camera rather foreshortens it with its telescopic lens, but still Dominic Arnaud is going to try and win this one, and the bunch are coming up, and one of the Lotto riders is doing the lead-out job here. So Lotto swung back into action. The Onse team are happy then that somebody else should take over the driving force, because this man now is no threat to Zuller as it regards the overall classification, because they've now got him inside. He can't be much more than about 3 or 4 seconds with just 1 kilometre to go. Can he hang on? Just 1 kilometre left in the San Sebastian stage 1 of this 1992 Tour of France down here in Spain to start off what is looking like an epic race. And here one of the lesser lights, best known then for his cyclocross performances, is probably going to add to his record if he only can hang on to this, one of the greatest successes of his career as a professional bike rider. But there's still just like 500 metres to go, and the pack are bearing down on him, and he's found some strength to push quite a big gear on the flat, and there they are, still about the same distance behind him, coming up alongside the gutter, clipping the feet of the security men. And here he is, nodding his head, gripping those handlebars. Oh, he's concentrating so hard now, searching for that little bit extra from his legs. He can see the finish people can see him, and the bunch can see him as well. They're out the saddle, and the big fast men are hitting the front, and this young lad is hanging on then, as I can see Muzio in the midst of that one. Scandi as well coming up. The big hitters are coming to the front now, and he's still trying to win this day. Dominic Arnaud, he's thrown his arms up. Has he got enough strength to do it? He does, just ahead then of Muzio. Scandi was in there, and one of the TVM riders, I think it was Skibby on the left-hand side, might have been third or fourth, but a win then for Castorama. Only just so in the nick of time that he crossed the line, and he lost momentum by waving to the crowd. I've seen that happen before when people thought they've got it and the bunch come up so fast that he's lost it, but no, he got that one just by about, I think, half a bike length. But we'll have to wait and see the official judge's verdict on that one. But the big news then certainly will be, as far as the support of this young man Alex Zuller is concerned, that he, having come in with the yellow jersey in that main pack, see down the left-hand side, Indurain is going away. He's lost that yellow jersey to Alex Zuller by a slender 6 seconds. With jubilation in the Castorama camp then for the stage victory. But Onse will also be happy with Alex Zuller for taking the yellow jersey. Well, we're going to cover the next stage tomorrow on Eurosport. Do come back to us then and see a new yellow jersey. Myself, David Duffield, saying bye-bye.